Welcome back to Undefendable. We are going to be doing another sorry about that. We're going to be doing another breakdown. This is a part 2 of a pick 3 ban 1 brainstorm discussion theory, how I go about it. I know a lot of people have been asking like matchups and things like that, so I was just going to walk you through my process, matchups, and then do a couple of things and see if it makes sense. But should be a fun watch, so don't be afraid to like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying it. So, first things first, I'll break down when it comes to a pick 3, ban 1. Always bring heroes that you're relatively comfortable with or know or have fun with, right? Don't bring heroes that you don't have fun with because the point of the game is to have fun, right? If you play all the S tier heroes and you just don't enjoy them, like, I don't know. For me, I enjoy winning, but I also want to have like fun and just bring in the meta every time just gets kind of stale, in my opinion. That's just me though. So I broke this into 3 groups. This bottom group is ones that either I'm comfortable with or I play and I just choose not to bring. This is just my personal opinion. Sometimes I'll bring Barbarian just for fun, but these are ones where if I were going into a competitive event, I would probably not consider. This next group up is really kind of what I'm going to spend most of my time on because this is what we're going to see the most of. This group down here at the bottom are, heroes that I can play, but I usually choose not to, or I just haven't enjoyed or don't want to learn yet. Like Artificer, I've played against him a few times, but I don't really enjoy to want to get to know how to play him. I'm okay with Paladin, just not my play style, not wildly enjoyable. Jean Grey, haven't tried her out much. I like Loki, but in my opinion, he's just not my cup of tea. Really enjoy Gambit, need more games with him. Rogue, same thing, I enjoy her, just need more games with her. And then these two are S tiers, and I try to avoid these two just because I don't know. They're too meta for me, and I feel like they're too overtuned. So I don't enjoy playing them. So that's why they're in this I'm probably not going to consider right now list down here at the bottom. Which brings me to this top one. All right, let's get you a little better angle, folks. So this is the top one, and these are the ones that I enjoy playing, I'm comfortable with, I feel like I can win games with, I have fun playing, and a pick 3 that I feel like I can make a pretty good squad out of. If you didn't watch the part 1 video, ultimately I'm looking for ways to just fill gaps to where if one of my guys or girls are banned, I can still not completely lose my strategy. So for example, like if I were going in, so for what I brought to my last one, now I was slightly limited on the heroes I have, just because I only had like the Black Widow, Doctor Strange dual pack, Deadpool, and then season 1. So I was slightly limited on what I could bring in person. However, since then, I did get the Marvel Battle Chest. So now I have access to Spider-Man, and like Thor and a couple other guys that I didn't have access to before, Black Panther, etc. So this was the list I actually brought, and ironically, when you look at this list, a lot of people were banning my monk, which let me play my S tier hero, and I ended up going 4-0 at my locals. I did not. I went undefeated. So they were banning my monk, which allowed me access to playing my Black Widow. And even on games where I felt stalled or slow, I was still able to pull out some wins and get it because she just got over the line a little bit better than they did. And then there was another game where they did ban Black Widow, and I played monk, and I won pretty handily. It wasn't really too scary because of the matchup that I was playing into. And then if for some reason they banned this and I wasn't liking monk, Deadpool, or same thing. If they ban Monk in this, I would feel really comfortable playing Deadpool because he's in that kind of adaptable hero situation for me, right? So when I'm looking at this, I have my S tier, and then I have 2 really adaptable heroes. Some are a little bit more defensive, like with the chi and things like that, and then he can be explosive when he needs to. And then some can be, and then Deadpool's a little bit more aggro, but he can also lay back, heal, do undefendable and pure damage, etc. And then with Black Widow, she has the time bombs, she has the agilities. So on those heroes, like if I'm running into Cursed Pirate, which I played a Cursed Pirate. I actually played Cursed Pirate with Black Widow. And all I kept doing was getting my agilities and dropping time bombs. And, eventually over time, she flips. I stall out the game a little bit. I avoid some damage, so on and so forth. I also did Black Widow into Wolverine, which was interesting because I was able to pull off some really nice agilities to get around some of his big swings and slow him down, right? So I think my matchups were, like, if I were to look back at it, I believe this was a matchup: Black Widow versus Wolverine, Black Widow versus Cursed Pirate. I played Doctor Strange, and I think Doctor Strange was my monk battle. And then I can't remember the last one, to be honest. Who would the last one be? Who was the last one? I think I played a paladin. Oh, yeah, it was. I played a paladin with Black Widow. And again, just able to get around stuff by landing time bombs, not swinging into his defense, so on and so forth, right? So that was kind of the matchups, right? So like defensively, Paladin and Cursed Pirate like when you swing into them. So with Black Widow, I could just continually search my deck with her ops tokens, and then just keep throwing time bombs on them while I'm leveling up my board and not getting hurt by their defense, right? So that was a really, really valuable situation there. So that is what I brought to my last locals, where I went 4-0. Now, that said, I was actually rather limited on what I could bring, so that's what I landed on. Now, I want to kind of do like a small experiment here. Okay, so let me say one more thing. If I were to bring them now with and I had access to all of the characters, I'd probably go something like this, just like kind of like an aggro build. And Spider-Man and Deadpool would be my counters into the S tier. If I can get the webbed off, I can preferably, survive against some of the defense, and then he gets that. And then not great defensive characters, I could go Wolverine and just explode on them, right? So that's one option. Another option that I would consider bringing is, like a Ninja. Ninja, maybe Black Panther, and an Iceman. I feel like this could be a really dangerous one. If they have like chippy characters, I go for Black Panther. If they ban Black Panther and they're doing a chippy character, I go Hyper Aggro. But in this list, they're probably going to ban my Iceman, which gives me access to Ninja, who is really good with undefendable and bursty stuff and getting around stuff, or Black Panther, who, if they're doing characters that chip away, I can blow up and explode, etc. So I'll kind of that's kind of like how I go through the process of picking stuff. But let's do this. I think this would be kind of fun. I'm going to actually delete all these, and what we're going to do is I'm going to bring 3, and we're going to randomly shuffle the deck up here so you can kind of see my process or what I'm thinking when it comes out to what they are planning on doing. So let's say I brought... Actually, let's just go with what I just had. I had Black Widow, Deadpool, and not Spider-Man, Monk, right? All right, so now this is going to be my opponent's Bring 3. So my opponent flips over. Okay, I'm feeling pretty okay here. Based on my knowledge of this and the situations here, I'm feeling pretty okay here. If I'm looking at this process, I think amongst all of these, I'm not worried about Samurai. I think I have enough ways around him. With Monk, I could just destroy him. I think Deadpool is going to destroy him, and Black Widow will probably win. Tacticianer can be a little pesky. And then Trent can be a little interesting if he has like the abilities and the cleanse tokens. Although I think over time, I'm going to be okay in that duel with most of these guys. So if I were looking at this, and let's say they ban first, or let's say they want me to ban first, I would ban, let's say, Tacticianer. Okay. Now if I ban Tacticianer, they ban my Black Widow. I'm feeling okay with these matchups. Okay. So in this scenario, yeah, I feel like both these champions are going to go well into this. I'm not worried about their explosive offenses. I'm not worried about their defense. I think just my characters in this matchup is going to outvalue their characters. So I'm feeling pretty okay with that matchup. All right, let's do it again. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. All right, we're going to put Samurai back because We just saw him. Okay. So probably not going to see Storm very often, but if this is the matchup, I am definitely not banning Storm, right? These are going to be my targets for banning. So let's say I get to go first, and I'm going to ban Cursed Pirate because I think that's just the most value. And let's say they ban my Monk. Okay? This is a matchup I feel pretty good about. Feel pretty good with Black Widow into Monk. It can be a little scary, but with his evades and his chi and me playing a slower game. So in this scenario, I actually might want to go Deadpool into Monk. So that would probably be my pick. I either am going to just pick the S tier hero because it's going to outperform them, but with me not worrying a lot about Storm, I might just pick Deadpool because I enjoy playing him more, and I think he's a good matchup into those two. All right, let's do it one more time with these three and see what we get. Okay, Artificer, Doctor Strange, and Krampus. This is actually an interesting one here, right? So in this matchup, I'm banning Artificer just because I don't necessarily have the extreme hyper aggro character. And if he gets time, and this character gives time, this character gives time, and this character can be fast, but I don't think it's fast enough to run down Artificer before he gets online. So I am 100% banning Artificer in this matchup. They're going to ban probably Black Widow. And now we're in a scenario where I feel pretty comfortable with Deadpool or Monk going into either of these matchups. Now, if he goes Doctor Strange, I'm probably going to take Monk because Monk has the cleanse. I can get rid of the Crimson Bands. I can get rid of some of the status effects there. And I'm not too worried. I feel like Doctor Strange runs out of gas at some point, and I feel like Monk can just sustain through it and eventually win the match. Same thing against Monk into Krampus and Deadpool into Krampus. I'm not too worried about this matchup either, just because one of Doctor Strange's best ability is his Crimson Bands, and Deadpool usually alters his dice by using tokens, not cards. So that would be kind of my process in there. I would 100% ban Artificer, and then that's where we would go. Now, what you can kind of see is in these matchups, I'm banning what I feel is the best champion or the scariest champion, which usually is like the S or the A tier, and then I'm really deciding between the other two. We'll do one more. Ooh, this is a good one. This is actually kind of a tough one here. So, why is this tough? Jean Grey's scary. She's an okay matchup into all these because she has the undefendable. I don't necessarily have a wildly strong defensive character, and I think Black Widow can take on Jean Grey with her agilities and just her kit in general. So, and Jean Grey has to give enough time in order for Black Widow to build up because she's Jean Grey half the time and Dark Phoenix the other half. Black Widow's pretty scary in this matchup. And Spider-Man, I don't have great defense with these guys. So Spider-Man's actually pretty scary. So if I'm looking at this, most people don't prefer to play the mirror. Now, if I were to have to ban first, I'd probably ban Spider-Man simply because my champions, I did not pick a strong defensive champion that's going to punish that Spider-Man, right? Or punish him a lot. I could potentially go with Monk against Spider-Man, but with the if he gets the combo into the webbed, I run out of chi and then I just take it all and then I have to get my chi back up. It's just not a fun matchup, right? So I'm probably banning Spider-Man. Let's say they ban my Black Widow because that's what I would do. So now this is our matchup, right? And this could be kind of a tough one. This could be kind of tough. Black Widow has a nice kit. If they went Black Widow, I'd probably go Deadpool because I think Deadpool gives me the best chance to try and beat her before she gets her whole kit online. If they went Jean Grey, I'd probably go Monk. Just because I feel like that matchup I can likely see that's a tough one. Jean Grey is actually kind of a tough one here. Just because of you know what, I would actually never mind. I'd go Monk because I could cleanse a lot of her stuff too, like the Phoenix Fires and things like that. So that's probably the matchup. So yeah, that's kind of the philosophy there. Let's do another round of this. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it, and I can walk you through the process. Let's just go Spidey, Iceman. So we'll go 2 hyper aggros, and then I was gonna go down and grab a good defensive character, but I forgot. Let's go. Ooh. Let's do Black Panther, because why not? Okay, so this would be one I'd feel pretty comfortable bringing, right? I have 2 hyper aggros, so if they ban one and they don't have a strong defensive character, I'm feeling pretty good. So this one's interesting, right? This is an interesting one. Based on my lists and what I've experienced, I would ban Thor here, just because Barbarian, I have enough to get around him. Spider-Man Barbarian, I have ways where I could use if he goes really, really big, I have the Spider Sense to mitigate half of the damage and some consistency there. With Psylocke's just really underpowered or undertuned in my opinion. So the only really challenge I honestly see here would be this. I would not want Barbarian against Black Panther because Barbarian swings very big and doesn't do any chip damage. So hypothetically, if they were to ban Iceman here, this is probably the list we would go at, right? So if they pick Barbarian, I pick Spider-Man. If they pick Psylocke, I'm probably going to pick either one of these. But in that matchup, Spider-Man's probably going to be the pick based on this pick, bring 3, ban 1. Let's do it again. All right, we got Thor again. We got Loki. Oh, man. Okay, this is actually, again, a really, really good example. And I kind of like what I'm doing here because you never know who you're going to sit down across from, right? And this is a really interesting setup because Spider-Man is not that good into Cursed Pirate and is not that good into Loki. So I'm praying that they ban my Spider-Man here, because if they don't, I'm pretty much going to be landlocked into playing whoever they don't ban. So if I were this player, and I'm looking at this list, I'm going to ban Iceman because I think he's just the strongest. He's the S tier of the 3. And if I'm Spider-Man, I'm a little nervous here. And this is where bringing Black Panther can be kind of interesting, right? Because all of these characters do little chippy damage. Cursed Pirate can deal damage back on defense, can deal damage from powder kegs, etc., which can build up his kinetic energy really quickly. Loki has the little gift bags that can deal damage over time. And then Thor has the hammer. So I'm actually feeling decent with my Black Panther matchup into any of these. And with the Spider-Man situation, what I would probably do here is I would probably ban Cursed Pirate, and then I'd see what they picked. If I had to pick first in this matchup, I'd pick Black Panther. If I had to pick second and they picked Thor, I would pick Spider-Man. So that's probably how that bring 3, ban 1 would go. Let's do one more. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. I don't know if this is good or not, but okay, this one's pretty easy, depending on if I ban first or not. Let's say they ban my Spider-Man. I would ban their Artificer, and then I feel pretty confident Iceman's going to roast either of these. Black Panther against Moon Elf, not ideal because Moon Elf just really doesn't do a ton of like chippy damage, so that's going to be a really slow match that I think Black Panther might actually lose. And again, I brought Black Panther not because he's overpowered, but because of like that scenario from the last one. He goes good into those chippy heroes like Pyromancer, Thor, Loki, like heroes that deal a little additional damage here and there. And yeah, so Iceman would be the pick here on either one that they would choose because he's the S tier and that's just the best matchup. All right, I'm going to do one more of my personal ones and kind of the style here. So we're going to have a hyper aggro. Let's do a undefendable option or undefendable / like dealing damage in different ways. And then we could do, let's do a little more of like an adaptable character. So this is not a bad one. This one's interesting because like she also has undefendable. So this is a good one to bring into a meta where you think you're going to see a lot of like high defensive characters, but let's see what we get. Artificer, Cursed Pirate, and Rogue. Yikes, this one is tough. Okay, so if this is the matchup, Ninja is good into Cursed Pirate, Wolverine is good into Artificer, And Vampire Lord is going to be okay into all of these, with the undefendable, with the lifesteal, etc. The lifesteal is going to help sustain Cursed Pirate to get Cursed Pirate to flip and hopefully stay alive longer. This matchup's not ideal. I think this is probably my worst matchup. And then Rogue is good, but I think matchup-wise, I'd feel okay going into Rogue with any of them. So if I were on my side, who would I ban? Based on this, I'd probably ban Artificer, simply because I have two heroes that are good into Cursed Pirate here, and other than Wolverine's my only hero that I think is good into Artificer. So if I didn't ban Artificer, I don't feel really comfortable with this matchup, right? But I do feel comfortable with the matchup of Wolverine into Artificer. So I'm going to ban Artificer. They're going to ban Ninja. So now we're here. Now we have some decisions. If I'm picking first, I may go Vampire Lord, because she has the blood power to get rid of some of their status effects that can really manipulate your game. If I'm going second and they pick Rogue, yeah, I might go Vampire Lord, but I might go Wolverine. If I'm going second and they pick Cursed Pirate, I'd feel more comfortable probably Vampire Lord and a Cursed Pirate than Wolverine. Just because she has like all the discard abilities and things like that, right? So I don't want this matchup. So this is going to be my best matchup if they go there. If they do Rogue, I'm okay with that matchup, and I'm okay with that matchup. All right? So that's kind of like the process of whenever I'm like thinking of a hey, what do I want to bring? How do I go about like banning and picking? And one thing you didn't really see there is, during that process, like it does depend on if you're banning first or picking first. It does depend. If you're going to roll and you win the first roll, always let them ban first. Never ban first. Let them ban first. That gives you a lot of information on where you want to go and what you want to do. And then on the second roll, if you have to pick first, which I always suggest picking first, because going first in this game I think is an advantage. Try to pick the character that can't be the hardest to counter, right? So like you're trying to pick the character that goes good into both of theirs, and hopefully you ban the character that completely crushes one of the guys that you have left, right? So that's kind of the process of the Pick 3 Ban 1 Part 2 video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't be afraid to like, comment, subscribe. Leave me any feedback or your thoughts on the situation. I'd love to hear how you guys approach it. And, we're all learning and growing here and having fun. Love the community. Love the game. Appreciate it. Talk to you later.